Hi everyone, my name is Em. Welcome to Running on Empty. In today's video, I'm going to review two anime figures which are on the more affordable side for some of us anime lovers who like to collect figurines on a budget. Hope you enjoy! Okay, so these are Denji and Power from the popular anime Chainsaw Man. And for those of you who haven't seen it yet, don't worry, these figurines aren't actually spoiling anything. These are prize figures made by Ben Presto for their Break Time collection, which is essentially a series of figures posed in relaxed sitting positions. Let's start with Denji and Pochita. First off, this is the box that he came in. I'll put the box measurements on the screen in case some of you guys want to find these figures in the wild and you're curious about how much bag space you'll need. As you can see, he came securely packaged in a cardboard prism within the box, and he was also encased in plastic. There isn't actually any assembly needed apart from sliding little Pochita into Denji's waiting arms. He also has no articulation, which of course means you can't change his pose. And he also comes with no base, which I think is great because he doesn't need it since he is sitting down. And for some of you guys who are curious about how much shelf space you'll need for Denji and Pochita once he's out of the box, I'll put the measurements on screen, but Denji is 9 centimeters high, 8 centimeters deep, 8 centimeters wide, and little Pochita is 3 centimeters high, 2.5 centimeters deep, and 5 centimeters wide. I also weighed them, so Denji is about 112 grams, Pochita 15 grams, and together they are 127 grams. Now on to the sculpt and paint job review. For the price, I'm so impressed with the way he and Pochita look. I like all of the details they have put into the sculpt of his hair, his features, and his clothes. And there are noticeable seam lines along the top of his head as well as his shoulder area, but I think they're relatively ignorable when you look at the figure as a whole. The paint job is pretty flat without any shading apart from the strawberry highlights to Denji's hair. But I think because the clothing detail is pretty good, you get some natural shading anyway, just from having Denji sit in a room with light and the light plays against his pose and his clothes. My favorite thing about his outfit is definitely his shoes. They've taken the time to sculpt the shoelaces and even the treads. Pochita is super adorable. He has no shading, and there is a noticeable seam line on his tail. But since that seam line gets hidden when you put Pochita in Denji's arms, I don't think that it's a big deal that it's there. It's one of those things you can ignore. Now on the box, you can see that Pochita's blade is facing Denji. That's the way that they have posed him. I actually prefer posing Pochita facing away from Denji because I find that way it's easier to put Pochita in and out of Denji's arms as you wish. Denji's arms do have a bit of flexibility to them if you do want to pose Pochita facing him, but I am paranoid about accidentally breaking Pochita's tail. Even though Pochita's tail does have a little bit of give as well, it's just something I'm not willing to risk, and I don't want to risk damaging Denji's arms either. So for me, I'm going to be posing Pochita facing away from Denji's face. As for the expressions on both their faces, I think they're great. You know, they both look serene and peaceful and happy. And I also think that they got Denji's eye painted on pretty well. I think it's spot on. The eye is such a crucial feature to get right so that the figure looks like the character. And I think in Denji's case, they nailed it. Overall, I think this is a solid figure, guys. It's a good deviation from the other Denji figures that are out there because it is serene I think the other more action-packed figures are great, but I'm more drawn to this more chilled out version of Denji, especially because he has little Pochita with him. And I think this Break Time collection by Van Presto pays good homage to the relationship between Denji and Pochita. So overall, this is a solid figure. Okay, next up is Power and her cat, Meowy, who is called Nyanko in Japanese, I believe. I'm going to go for Meowy because it's easier for me to say. This is her box. Again, I'll put the measurements of the box on screen. Like Denji, she is also packaged in a cardboard prism and plastic wrap within it, and I think it's well packaged. When you take Power out of the box, like Denji, she neither needs nor comes with a base, but unlike Denji, Power and Meowy are pretty much good to go out of the box with 0 assembly required. Power has no articulation, so you can neither change her pose, nor can you remove Meowy from her arms. Size-wise, Power is about 9.5 centimeters high when you account for her horns. She sits at 11 centimeters deep and 6.5 centimeters wide. Weight-wise, this figure is 101 grams. Now on to the sculpt and paint job review for Power and Meowy. Now again, I'm impressed by all of the folds that they have molded into her clothes. And if you look closely, they even bothered to mold a little button behind her necktie, which I thought was hilarious, but also great attention to detail. I love that. My favorite part of her outfit overall, I think, is her shoes, because I think they're very well done. They bothered to mold the little shoelaces, and they also have treads in her shoes, just like Denji. Paint job wise, again, these are flat colors without any shading, but if you sit her in a room with some natural light, the light plays off of the pose and her clothing folds in such a way that it gives it some natural shading anyway. There is one visible seam line across the top of her head, but it's again ignorable. And the paint job of her horns is not the best. I'm gonna say it's probably my least favorite part of this figure because it looks messy, especially at the part where her horns meet her hair, but it's such a small detail that you can ignore it. Her face is so spot on. I love the expression that they have on her face. I think the painting of her eyes is correct. It looks like Power in my opinion, and I absolutely love her little teeth. I think it's such a good detail. It gives it a bit of depth to the figure's face. Absolutely great. As for Meowy, they have given Meowy some fur detail in the molding, pretty good. I'm not a fan of the little seam line on Meowy's tail, but again, it's not egregious. It's one of those things that you can ignore. Meowy's expression is very serene. I have nothing bad to say about this at all. I think both Meowy and Power look absolutely happy, absolutely peaceful, and I think overall this is a great figure. My final thoughts on both these figures is they are absolutely great bang for your buck, and I think they're worth looking into getting if you're a fan of the anime. In fact, even if you've not seen the anime, you can tell Chainsaw Man is an action-packed and intense series to watch. Therefore, there are some pretty intense figures out there. So for that reason, I like that there is something for everyone with the inclusion of this little break time collection. So if you're the type of person who wants a more chilled out figure, you're not really into the whole action-packed scene, they've got you covered with these two. And I think I was drawn the most to these figures, not just because of the relatively low price, but because of how happy and content they and their pets look. one of the tropes that I like in any anime or figure or anything like that is if the character has a pet companion that they love, that's going to win me over every time. So when I came across these two figures, I was like, sign me up, I have to get them. And for the price, you're getting a lot of value in the detail, the subject matter, as well as the sentimental value of the love that you see between Denji and Pochita, Power and Meowy. So if you're able to snag your own, I'd say go for it. And if you're able to get both of them, I think displaying them together is gratifying. Now, you guys might be wondering, where can I get these figures? Unfortunately, this is a difficult question for me to answer because the place where I got them is out of stock for both of these. I would recommend Google searching Chainsawman Break Time Collection, and I think you should be able to find a retailer locally who holds them. For my fellow Australians, I did see that Big W has the Denji one in stock, so I couldn't find Power in stock in Big W, but I wish you guys all the best if you do want one of these, and yeah, good luck. Okay guys, that's today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one. See ya!